Hey, good to be with you. Welcome to this edition of Trinity in 20. As we're here together, I wanted to talk with you for just a moment about this small altar that is sitting here at the edge of the chancel. As you know, historically, that whole area is the traditional, what you would properly call the high altar. And when this building was designed, the architect who designed this building understood that in many ways the fabric of this space represents something of medieval church architecture and spirituality. And that part of that was how do you bring the mystery of heaven and put it down here on earth so that when you come into this space, the architect's mind would have been, when you come into this space, how do you step into a little bit of the mystical, mystery, spirituality of an image of what heaven is. And so, the great windows that surround us with the saints inside it, in that sense that we are here in communion with the saints and with God and with the presence of God, but yet somehow in these ancient images that somehow God is still a little bit distant from us, still a little bit over there, and that we approach God with at least a fair amount of fear and trembling, and that as we kind of gather ourselves together, that we are here in God's presence, but yet it's still a mysterious sort of thing. And so, as you might remember, if you worshiped here for years and years and years, the celebration of the communion of the Eucharist took place up in that spot. The pastor would be up there. I remember in the church that I grew up in, only pastors really ever crossed the barrier between the altar rail and the altar. And, there was this sort of mystical mystery that was all part of all of this and what we did here. If we fast forward a whole bunch of years, one of the things that happened in the life of church, life of Christians across what we call the Western world, was Vatican II. And one of the things of Vatican II was this sense that the church wanted to, at least the Roman Church, wanted to involve the prayer life and the spiritual life of the people who gathered together for worship. Right? And so over the period of that time, whenever the pastor, and this happened in Roman churches as well as Protestant churches, when the pastor was up there, they were involved in the mystery of the Eucharist and what was happening. And we all kind of participated by, backing up the pastor, if you may. But what happened after Vatican II was this sense that we wanted to include one another in the prayers and the life of the church. Yes, in our prayers, we still pray to God. Absolutely. We still pray to God, and we do that individually and as a corporate group together. But also we pray to God together. It's a little bit, you can think of a little bit of it as, could you imagine at Thanksgiving time saying the prayer in the kitchen as opposed to gathering ourselves around the table to say our prayers to God when we are there all together, sitting around the table. When we move this altar down here, that's part of what we're trying to accomplish together. That we say our prayers together, that even as whatever pastor is then saying the Eucharistic prayers, that we are doing this around the table as if we were the family gathered around this great table in the presence of God with Jesus being present with us. There are a couple of other practical things to this. So this allows us this sort of intimate kind of conversation as we're having it. The pastor is less distant, more connected, right? And as you may know, here in this space, if you're up there, there's a whole swath of people, particularly the ones in the side transept, you can't see. Here, right? It's like I said, like the family dining room table at Thanksgiving dinner, right? We all are able to be involved in this together. And so bringing this small altar down here allows us to accomplish that. It also does a very important thing. It allows us to do this without changing the architectural fabric of this space. As you could imagine, if you go up there, that idea of pulling that altar out from the wall, you just can't do it. Well, could you? Well, yes, you could do it, but it would ruin the sort of architectural integrity of the building. There's not enough space for that. That space wasn't designed to work that way. This brings us together here in this space in this way, so that when we say the prayers that go together with Holy Communion, when we act the act of communion, it is as if we are gathered together around this table here in this place, together, saying our prayers, eating the Eucharistic meal, participating in God's presence here with us. So as you come for communion, we do this as a collective group. A little bit less of the pastor doing it for us, a little bit more of us doing this together. So as you're here, and if you're with us this week, if you're here sometime soon for communion, I hope that it comes to you as a reminder that most of the time when we celebrate communion at this table, that we are doing this as a community gathered together around the table, giving thanks for Jesus' presence, giving thanks for God's blessings on our lives. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you soon.